What are we saying?
What are we saying?
We missed the pod last week when we did the Q&A session last week. This week we're doing the Q&A and the pod.
Yep.
So today on this section, we've been thinking a lot about actually playing right now. Obviously, like we have a massive brand on rehab and like helping people to get out of pain and overcome injury and bulletproof their body to a certain extent. But we've also been thinking about for ourselves, how do we make it into the next level in football? What creates the best athletes? How can we take someone from completely broken, who can't walk any like 5 steps without chronic pain like me, to being one of the best athletes in football? Does it take skill? Does it take strength training? What kind of strength training? Does it take fascia? So we're going to talk about a few things today, and a lot of it's going to be distilled from our mentor Ben. Right, Ben's absolute genius at simplifying stuff. But yeah, what are you thinking, Kadeem?
Absolutely. Nice intro there with like what can we look, because if it's about, you have a specific goal you want to reach, let's say, okay, you want to perform as good as you can, or you want to see where you can go, then you will try and do everything possible, right? You don't want to miss out on this percentage over there, you don't want to miss out on this percentage over there, to really make sure, okay, you're getting in everything, right? You're not missing out on anything that could potentially bring you to that next step or make the difference. So for us, it's like, okay, we're trying out loads of, we're open to new training methods. We're open to like this 1% that we could gain from simply hand juggling, right? Boom, hand juggling. What could it give for us? Maybe some better, hand-eye coordination. How is that going to help us? Maybe it's going to help us in a certain situation, whatever. But what it then comes down to is kind of thinking about, and that's, I think, the main topic of today that we really want to make clear as well, for us as well, and for everyone else that's kind of thinking in the same way, that wants to get as far as possible and get the most bang for buck, and actually making sure they're using everything they can. I think when you're looking at, for example, pro footballers, right? Up there, 1% could be making the difference, right? It says razor's edge. We talked about it in a previous podcast, which like the small thing could make the difference. But right now, we're not there yet, right? For now, what's most important is really getting to even the basics, right? We still haven't nailed down the basics. I think that's the main thing that we want to distill down today. It's like, okay, what could give us that basic stuff that we need to nail down, and that's going to be the bang for buck in terms of athleticism, in terms of performance, in terms of injury prevention, in terms of how long we can perform, all that stuff that in the end plays into our performance. I see you thinking there already, taking some notes. What's your thoughts coming up?
Yeah, like from what you said, like okay, like the 1% of the top like may change everything, but at the same time, like the pros aren't mastering the basics in strength training. Like the further we've gone with technology, the worse the strength training has become, and the more players are getting injured. Ben Patrick in a lot of his old videos always says the closer to truth you get, the more simple it is. Like people think it has to be this complex thing, but really it's like just this simple thing. So
Yeah.
like people aren't doing knee flexion anymore. They're trying to get how do we create the fastest athlete? How do we create the fastest athlete? Well, I don't know. And then if you look at Barcelona's training, like why are they doing all this crazy stuff? Like, can they do a full range of motion squat with their body weight on the bar, 2 times their body weight on the bar? No. Okay, well get that then, because that's going to make you more injury resistant and everything else. And then I also spoke to a football coach who used to, I think it was Wolves, he coached for back in the day, and he said, I probably shouldn't be, I don't know if I can really say this, but he said the highest player that he ever saw squatting was 60 kg, and that was to a half range of motion. It was Tom Cleverley from Man United. He'd just come on loan or something.
Wow.
So 60 kg is the highest squat in Premier League football. Obviously, there's some teams that are doing really well. Like I don't know if you've seen much of Tottenham's training, but I love it.
Yeah.
So what really the topic comes down to is 2 things which we didn't even realize it is general strength and general skill. Like Keith says, like you can specify 100% and we are going to do that. But we know that the stronger you are, the more athleticism you are, the more you get picked. The people that are picked in the academies are the ones that are more naturally explosive, can run fast or elastic subconsciously. They didn't train to be that because they're genetic freaks. So then it's like the people like me who weren't a genetic freak and was slow, was trying to make it in the higher leagues, but then I didn't have the right strength training, so then I couldn't make it because I wasn't that next thing. So it's like, how do you make someone generally strong, generally fast, can jump out the roof,
Yeah.
and generally injury resilient with the basics? And then the second thing is that we know multi-sport athletes are the best athletes. Kobe Bryant used to play soccer. Apparently, Messi in his training sessions used to just go play some basketball. So then we know that if we build a really general base of skill and a really general base of strength, that's going to serve us in the long term a lot. And then we can specify as well in certain things.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, that's it exactly. For one thing you said, long term, that's one thing that's like key in order to, like we're not 15 anymore, right? So longevity is key. That's one thing. And then the other thing you said, obviously, about, okay, like even at the top level, their strength training might not be on point, right? So what can you actually, how much of an advantage is it going to give you if, for example, at the professional level or whatever level you're really at, like people are skillful, there are more skillful people, there are more athletic people. What if you build a really, really good base on both, and then you can kind of double down on what you think is going to give you that next step? But as long as you're not building that general base, I think it's also difficult to really know, okay, this is what I still need to focus on, this is what I still need to focus on in terms of strength and also in terms of skill development. So if you look at like professional levels, like people are there for different reasons. Some people are literally, I'm so much faster than them, but they're just much more skillful, right? But then other side as well, there's people that are so much more athletic than me, but not even that skillful. You think, he can't even play like Adama Traore is not, not the word like he used to play at Barcelona. He's definitely skillful, but yeah, I think he's a good example because he's jacked, he's fast, but then his finishing is just not as good as it could be. Like if
Yeah.
his finishing was on top, man, then he would be freaking rolling, right? And that's the thing of like Salah, for example. He was fast, he was doing all this stuff, but then he wasn't finishing and he wasn't really as strong as he is now. And where is he dominating? Now it's the time he's dominating, really, right? Where he has that strength as well. He's literally holding defenders off. They literally can't touch him. And then he has the technique as well. Like he has such a good general base of everything that just gives him the edge on someone else that maybe is just good on this one, but then really weak on another side.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I
And
mean,
then I think we should then break it down into talking about strength first, and then we can talk about skill as well, because there's a few points that you just sparked my mind on, like some gems are coming out right now.
yeah.
So, a few things you said. First thing, I'm going to leave to the last, but then I'm going to go to your last first. So, you
Okay.
said Adama Traore, okay, he's super fast, super strong. Mo Salah's super fast, super strong. And it's like all of our lives we're playing football, right? So I don't know how you grew up, but I grew up playing football 4 or 5 times a week from 0 to 16.
Yeah.
I grew up 0 to 16, not doing any strength training, or if I did, it was very, very, very minimal. I had no idea what I was doing. Right. So
Same here.
then it's like, if you look at yourself personally, like where's the biggest difference you can make? And listen to this. At the top level, the strength training is one, not on point, and then two, they're never out of season at the pro level. They
Wow.
may be out of season for like 4 weeks at the pro level. That you can't put on loads of mass there. So they're getting weaker and they're getting weaker. Maybe they're maintaining. Maybe there's some people who are eating really, really well, who are training really, really well. They're growing a little bit of muscle mass. But most of the people are going to be losing muscle mass if they can't come out, if they're playing 2 games a week and then they're doing all the training on top of that. You can't put your body through really intense strength training while doing that. So then we come to the fact of something else that Keegan said back in one of the ATG podcasts. He said that when you get injured, this is a time it's actually the biggest blessing, because let's say that you were just making it into the squad and like you were kind of good technically, but like you were a little bit slow, this or that. You then get injured. You take 2 years out, you get absolutely jacked, shredded at the same time as working on your skills, but like more focusing on that jacked athletic side. Then when you come back, you're going to be like faster than everyone, more explosive, more injury resilient. And then when you're more injury resilient, you're going to play more games. And that's where I wanted to link to with the last thing you said of longevity is key.
Yeah.
Because if we can keep a player on for the most amount of time, they're going to be the best. Like Ben said in the chat earlier, that Marty St. Louis, who does our kind of style of training, who done the basics, done the Nordics, done the deep squats, done all this stuff, he had 400 games where he didn't miss a single game because of injury. If you look at Salah now, he's not missing any games because he's so injury resilient. So if we make you really, really injury resilient, then for example, me, I went from 2 years ago, 3 years ago, literally taking 5 steps and walking and not being able to not experience pain. There were screws coming out of my knee. I was all kind of messed up. So now getting a 32-inch vertical to being faster than ever to smashing out Nordics to like leveling up my quad strength. Like imagine 10 years time.
Man. Yeah.
Like people think at 32, like everyone's declining because they're not focusing and they think, oh, I'm not going to be able more athletic. 32 is a male peak. So I got 9 years.
Yeah.
I got 9 years.
Yeah. Man, scream it from the rooftops, man. Like honestly, that's so exciting to think about this as well. Because we know, okay, it's not just like boom, magically happening. If not, everyone would do it, right? Everyone at the, whatever level would say, okay, let's not get injured anymore. But like, it's a process to actually get to that level. But once you're getting there, and as you get better and better, the more protected you're going to be. It's like simple math equations, and we can't say, okay, you're never going to get injured. But again, like it's always like Ben as well. He hasn't had a knee setback in 10 years.
Yeah.
Right? And he's jumping, doing crazy stuff. Like like when he used to, like do this daily videos, rapping out the sissy squats, banging all that stuff out, jumping at the same time, hooping at the same time. Hasn't had a knee setback in 10 years. That's the level I'm trying to get to. Yeah. Because I know, like, if I can play football without something holding me back, like which only could be my body, right, or my mind, but like obviously we're doing work on that as well. If my body's not holding me back, man, like it's just the confidence you're gonna have as well.
Yeah,
right, man. So
so then the goal of general strength is then, can I be first to the ball? And I personally want to be first to the ball, and I don't want to be pushed off it.
Yeah.
If I can be first to the ball and can't be pushed off it, I'm going up levels just from that. So then you take into account the skill on top of that, all the skill work that you're doing. And we're not just talking skill work with football. Like we will talk about that football base, but we're talking about juggling, Swiss ball, like all different types of stuff, rope flow, like juggling, wall ball, passing, dribbling, everything.
Yeah.
If we just have a base of everything, there's no situation where it's going to be too hard for us, right?
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like we're, as you mentioned, like the multi-sport athletes, they grow up doing multiple sports. We now can't go and do basketball as well and do this as well and trying to become a multi-sport athlete. But what we can do is take these different movement patterns and take these different skills, implement it into our training, general skill training, to kind of have that similar effect. And that's what we're trying to do as well there.
Yeah.
Same for the strength training as well. Like you get into different position in certain sports that might help you in your sport. I'm trying to think of one right now. Like that would be, I mean, one thing is obviously you're not getting into deep ranges at all, playing your sport. So we're applying the same kind of thing there. We don't necessarily have to do much, even more of specifically what's happening in our sport, but rather like complement it. Okay, what are we not doing? Like, okay, we're not doing the deep range. Let's get the strength there. Like, let's do the strength training, getting into that deep range. We're not developing like football. We're only like using our strong foot. Let's actually look at what our weak foot is doing as well. I was literally looking at some text yesterday that, okay, it is shown in people that the shooting foot has less VMO, literally. And we know how important the VMO is for our knee, right? So now my right knee, that was that is my strong foot, has less VMO. So it's definitely not going to help my knee pain, right?
Yeah.
So that all that stuff, taking that into consideration as well, and then kind of basing the strength and general skill training on that, I think that's what's going to be so much bang for buck for athletes.
100%, and that's the thing. Like I saw someone on Instagram a strength coach say, you'll never get into these deep range of motions during sport. That's why I'll never use this. Well, it's because we never get into these ranges in sport that we need to do this. Because you think about the tissue adaptation that I'm getting from using deep knee bends versus you doing like a regular split squat in which you would already do that position in a game. Like there was this coach saying, like, obviously, like, no hate on anyone, like all methods are good to a certain extent, but like we build our body in balance, right? That's one of our principles. We build our body in balance. So if you look at football, like it's all fast forward, high knee positions, all there.
Yeah.
So if we go into the gym and we only do high knee positions, forward, fast, do you think that's going to complement our sport because we're going to add more sport on top of what we're already doing, or building the opposite? So building those deep range of motions,
Yeah.
building that different things, because it's that tissue adaptation that we want.
Yeah.
That
Exactly. Yeah. In the end, we're not doing it because like we want to be deep squatting in a football game. We do the deep squats because they give us the adaptations that we're not getting from not going into a deep squat, from just being in the top range. Right?
yeah,
That's really it. That's the beauty of it. But if
yeah,
you don't have the background, it might seem like, yeah, I'm not really using that range. Why should I train it? But if you understand that, like the science literally shows us in that deep range, that's where we have most connective tissue growth, right? That's where we develop that strength there, that resilience. And then if we look at freak athletes that are doing that, kind of got to the higher levels through their strength training, that weren't just athletic freaks, you can see them doing the deep squats. You can see them repping out the Nordics, that joint dominant stuff that we're constantly talking about, right? So
yeah.
it's there.
So another example of that, he took, like, Ben, our mentor, put in the Pulse chat earlier, which is ATG chat. Stefan Holm, right? Stefan Holm is a high jumper, and he's the highest man ever to jump for his height. And his jump training is so basic. Like, he jumps, like he does the thing. So one, he does the thing, right? So that's one of our big principles of, like, we play football like every day now. We're playing football for 30 minutes, not necessarily the games, because they're going to be too fatiguing to build the muscle and stuff. And we're in a building phase. We're not in that like kind of phase
Yeah.
where we do want to play lows and lows. But one, he done the thing, so he jumped over and over and over. And then two, he done the opposite. So he was doing cleans in the gym, but that's a basic lift. Two, he was doing low and slow squats,
Yep.
basic lift. He was doing bounds, again, basic plyo, really, really bang for buck, really, really good. Again, hamstring curls,
Yep.
knee flexion. Like, he's building his body in balance. His calves, like, if you see his lower legs, they're jacked. They are jacked.
Yeah.
So then it's like we have to look at our body and build it really in balance, because if you build your body in balance, you're going to be more protected, you're going to jump higher. And it's not like we just want you to build and balance and stop here. So we want you to build and balance and get to here.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
if you look at some of the best athletes, for example, Lionel Messi, most knee over toe athlete, like, maybe ever. Like, Michael Jordan's probably one as well, but
Yeah.
it's like Lionel Messi. He's got fat old VMOs, and
Yeah.
then that means the shin angle can get so close to the ground, he can cut and do all this stuff. Like,
Yep.
his center of gravity is so low, and
Yeah.
people just can't get on him. And it's like, well, deep knee bends.
Yeah. Yeah. And if I would try to get in, like the thing is, he was doing that, throughout his whole career, and I'm just assuming right now hasn't had like knee pain or like like a major knee injury, whatever. That because as children we can all do it, right? We can all get into these deep positions without problems. Now the problem is when we're just playing our sport, for example, and on top of that we have an injury or like a setback or feeling pain, then we avoid those positions more because they do put more stress on our knee.
Yeah.
But if we get stronger there, like it's just, if you see, Messi is just one example, but like the whole sport is played knees over toes,
Yeah,
right?
and
Every
that's
time
the
you're
thing. Like,
jumping.
the people that get injured in their sport are gonna be the ones that are off balance. That they're doing stuff off balance that they don't really recognize. For example, Ben's example is like Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant. He would
Yeah,
always land on different feet. And then he looked at this other guy, I don't know his name, but he had an ACL tear.
yeah,
And it's because he always landed on one foot in his game. So you had Kobe Bryant, who never had an ACL tear, landing on both legs evenly throughout his career, just like
yeah,
he's just come up and done that. Whereas the other guy has, like, landed so playing the sport for one person is going to be completely different for another person. So you then have to look at your weaknesses and what am I imbalanced by?
Yeah.
Because then you say, for example, like your kicking leg has less VMO,
Yeah.
my planting leg has less VMO because I had the knee injury on that side.
Yeah.
So it's then like, well, I need to balance that up and get it to the point where it's the same as the other side. But
Yeah.
the balance concept is really what we're
Huge. The balance concept is huge. Like, and we know, okay, like the unilateral strength, like many people are doing it. We know, okay, our sport is played on the on one leg majority of the time. But then still, like, if we're not unilaterally kind of rebalancing that deep range as well, then it goes into the same things. And like studies are backing all of this up as well, right? So the more you have imbalances, just let's say from quad to hamstrings, the more likely you're going to be to tear your ACL. Then the more imbalances you have from side to side as well, right? Let's say your body is used to your left leg jumping up and you being able to absorb that force. What if you jump up now with your left leg and then someone touches you midair and now you have to suddenly land with your right leg and your right leg has never done it before? You're at so much higher risk of getting injured.
Yeah.
And that's all still part of the general building here, right? It's a huge base. So it's not just, oh, I'm just building a foundation, I want to get to the exciting stuff. No, like the foundation is huge, right? It's so much stuff that we need to take into consideration.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you say, like this is good because we're just spreading our thoughts and our ideas in where they are. Like it's gone kind of all over the place and it's good. But that's amazing because then it's like you'll see us flush these concepts out more and more and more as we're
Yeah.
living it. Because
Yeah.
we're thinking about these right now. Okay,
Yeah.
how do we make the biggest bang for buck in ourselves? How do we go to the next level? Should we focus on strength? Should we focus on this? But the kind of concepts that we're talking about right now, like the general strength, the general skill, and like building in balance and keeping it simple, like the main thing. So if we had something for general strength, it would then be like look at your get a simple structural balance assessment. Like obviously, like we have our own, but just for example, you have 6 main functions of the lower body, main ones in strength training. So you have ankle flexion, ankle extension, knee extension, hip flexion, hip extension, and then obviously you have other stuff as well. But just look at your training, see if it has those 6, and then see what it has it in. So, for example, do we have for knee extension deep knee bends and high stuff? Are we using our full range? Are we using our full range of motion? And build that way, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like that's back to simplifying it. Obviously, I said there's so much stuff you can work on the general base, but back to simplifying it. Yeah, there is these main functions. There's different ways to work those, and that's why also so many systems work, even though they're like not say they're saying they're not the same, but in the end they're all kind of working similar stuff, right? But yeah, general strength. Do you think we should give people some exercises, just each?
Yeah, for each of
Or,
the things.
yeah, yeah, just
Yeah,
6. I think that's a good plan of action to actually go and see how's that looking, right?
yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna go because floss. We're gonna try and keep it as simple as possible. Floss bands are like 20 quid, so I think that's gonna be fine for someone to buy, and that's gonna include for me hip flexion and ankle flexion right there. So
Yeah,
ankle flexion with the floss band, I would attach a dumbbell to your foot and do tib raises there. That would be my first ankle flexion. Are we gonna go back and forth? Am I
yeah.
gonna say 6?
Okay, so you say the ankle flexion tib raise there. If
Yeah,
you don't have a floss band as well, you might have kettlebell in the gym.
yeah.
Maybe that works as well. Um, or there's no equipment
Floss
very.
band is 20 quid. If you care about your career, buy a floss band. Like
Yeah, exactly. I think every athlete should have this in their toolbox.
100%, they have to.
100%. So yeah, then we have ankle extension, right? And there, I'll give you 2 exercises. I'll give you 1 straight leg calf raise, 2 bent knee calf raise, right?
Yeah,
Making sure, okay, we hit both. Obviously, both calves are going to be trained in both, like both muscles, like gastrocnemius, the 2 biggest muscles in your calf.
yeah,
But with either exercise, straight leg, we're targeting a little bit more of the gastroc, and then bent knee, more of the soleus. And that's just going to be key as well, because most people just do like straight leg calf raises unless they have like a seated calf raise machine in the gym. But actually hitting that soleus is huge as well, especially for endurance athletes, right? That's the enduring calf muscles. I used to get calf cramps all the time, and like I wouldn't hit the soleus
Yeah.
mainly straight leg calf raises, but like, man, I got into the bent knee calf raise and my leg was shaking. Oh my goodness, what's that like? And yeah, so those two for the ankle
Yeah.
extension.
And for the most important thing there is like the full stretch, because
Yep.
like from limiting knees over toes with then shortening the Achilles, and where the Achilles tears most is in that full stretch. So if I was to say do one, I would say do the bent knee, because that's going to be more likely to hit the Achilles and the soleus, because in the straight leg people could half rom it, they could do
Yeah.
whatever. So if it was just one, it would be the
Just
bent
one
knee version.
bent knee. I agree. Cool.
Then for knee extension, I'm saying, oh, it has to be a deep squat. It has to be a deep squat. If you haven't had an injury side to side and you're balanced side to side,
Yeah.
deep squat. If you have had an injury and you're imbalanced side to side, then it is the ATG split squat.
Yeah. Getting the deep range there for the knee extension. Flexion, Nordic for me,
It's killer.
100%. Like, there's not much else you can do. Like, if you have a hamstring curl machine, cool. You can do some body weight hamstring curls, variations, whatever. But the Nordic, nothing hits as the Nordic. And we go over that in other videos, why the Nordic is actually pretty special. And like, yeah, gotta
And
hit the Nordics.
if someone is going to do a Nordic or any of these exercises, make sure to watch there's videos everywhere about this stuff. Watch where to do it, because then it's like you'll have to regress it to your level, because most footballers I get drop like a sack of potatoes on a Nordic because they're not
Yeah.
strong enough. And then,
Yeah.
but yeah, so then hip flexion would then be use that same floss band to attach your dumbbell to your foot.
Yeah.
Like first set, do tibialis. Next set, keep the dumbbell attached to your foot. Do hip flexor raises. So stand on a plate, stand on a platform, whatever it is, and you just want to lift your hip leg up, bend knee up to your thing, and that's going to target the hip flexors, lower abs, hip flexion, baby.
Hip flexion, baby. 100%. Get those. What a flex it is to have strong hip flexion. But yeah, like,
The biggest difference between elite sprinters and normal people is one, the hip flexors, two, the glutes.
two glutes. And the glutes are the ones that we're going to hit last now with the extension, hip extension. Obviously, glutes playing a big role
Ooh,
there.
what are you
And
going to say?
yeah, I'm going to say RDL because, like, with,
Ooh, yeah.
like, because RDL, you can do single leg RDLs, you can do double leg RDLs, you can, like, regress it to nearly, like, you can go without weight, you can regress it to, progress it to really high levels. You just need a barbell or a dumbbell, whatever. You can do some RDLs. Obviously, then we have the back extensions, seated good mornings, like, which more top range, more bottom range, but like RDL, I would simplify it there. And
There you have it. Like if you get to elite standards on those 6 exercises, you're going to be ahead of most athletes. Like elite standards, imbalance, like amazing. Obviously,
full
that's
stretch,
the only
full
things
range of motion.
we want, but it is something that's going to get you
Yeah,
to higher levels. Like it's that general strength, that general base. If you get super strong on all of those, you're going to be flying.
yeah, 100%. That's the goal, right?
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. Cool. So we'll leave it there. Obviously, we went a bit of everywhere in this one. We're talking about our ideas when it comes to football right now in terms of how to get to the highest levels. So anything that's come up, let us know. We'd love to have conversations with you guys. Drop it down in the comments, message us, whatever it is. Tell us what you're thinking about certain stuff as well, what you do, what you thought of the exercises. And yeah, anything else.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. We're here to learn every single day. We're here to learn and to share what we've already experienced and seen amazing results. Obviously, we're helping people one to one as well with this, right? People have these goals, and I know how easy it can be having a mentor or having someone that actually shows you kind of the way, and that's what we're here for, really. So hope this helped, and hopefully see you the next time.
That's what I'm saying.
Cool.